Hey, I'm Bee, and welcome back to Read and Roam, the channel where we learn about text and how it fits into our world. I'm at the library, and I found two books that look kind of similar. But are they really? So that's what we'll explore today. How two stories can be similar and different at the same time. Let's head back to the studio to learn more. To figure out how something is similar and different, we can compare and contrast. When we compare, we look for what's the same or similar between two or more things. For example, if we compare a bike and a scooter, we could say they both have wheels. When we contrast, we look for what's different between two or more things. So if we're comparing a bike and a scooter, what would you say is different? One difference is that a bike has pedals, but a scooter doesn't. We can compare and contrast all kinds of things, but today we'll do it with stories. This skill is important because it helps us understand stories better and see what makes them unique. Let's read those two stories I got earlier, starting with a Vietnamese folktale called How the Tiger Got Its Stripes. As I read, think about the setting, characters, and plot. Long ago, in a jungle in Vietnam, there lived a strong, powerful tiger without any stripes. One day, he wandered to the edge of the jungle and saw a buffalo working alongside a man in the rice fields. Confused, the tiger asked the buffalo, "Why do you let that man boss you around?" "Because he has something called wisdom," the buffalo replied. The tiger was curious. He wanted wisdom too, so he approached the man and asked for some. The man felt frightened, so he came up with a plan to trap him. "I'll go home to get it, but first I'll tie you to this tree so that the villagers aren't scared of you while I'm gone." The man tied him to a tree, but instead of going home, he lit a fire around the tiger. Panicked, the tiger pulled on the ropes as the flames grew higher. He finally got free and ran away, but the fire left black marks on his fur. From that day on, tigers always had stripes as a reminder of that tiger's mistake. Okay, ready for the next story? This one's an African folktale called The Rabbit and the Lion. Remember to think about the setting, characters, and plot as I read. Once, in East Africa, there was a lion who was the king of the jungle. He was big and strong and bullied the smaller animals into bringing him food. One day, it was the rabbit's turn, but he had a clever plan to trick the lion instead. The rabbit arrived late and told the lion, "Another lion took the food and said he's the real king." "Where is he?" the lion roared. The rabbit led him to a deep well and pointed at the water. "He's in there." The lion saw his own reflection and thought it was another lion. He jumped in to fight and got stuck in the well. From then on, the animals lived happily, free from the lion's rule. Okay, now that we've read both stories, we can compare and contrast. To do that, we'll focus on three story elements: the setting, characters, and plot. We'll also use a tool called a Venn diagram. It has two circles that overlap in the middle. In the first circle, we'll add what's only true about how the tiger got its stripes. In the second circle, we'll add what's only true about the rabbit and the lion. And in the middle, we'll add what's the same or similar in both. Ready to use the Venn diagram? Let's get started. First, we'll compare by adding similarities. Think about the settings in both stories. How are they similar? They both take place in a jungle in the past. What about the main characters? How are they similar? The lion and tiger are both animals. How else are they similar? Think about their internal traits, meaning what they're like deep down, and their external traits, like their appearance. They're both confident, strong, powerful animals. Let's move on to the other characters. In How the Tiger Got Its Stripes, there's a man, and in The Rabbit and the Lion, there's a rabbit. How are they similar? Remember, think about their internal and external traits. Pause the video to record one similarity between the rabbit and the man. You might have said something about them both being smarter, smaller, or weaker than the lion and tiger. Now let's move on to the plot. Take a moment to think about the main events in each story. What happens to the lion and tiger that's similar? They both get tricked. Now that we've compared the stories to find what's similar, we'll contrast them to discover what's different. Let's start with setting. As we noted before, both stories take place in a jungle in the past. But this doesn't mean the settings can't still be different in another way. In How the Tiger Got Its Stripes, the jungle is in Vietnam. What about in The Rabbit and the Lion? The jungle's in Africa. Next up, let's talk about characters. We know that the man and the rabbit both trick the big cats, and they're both smaller, smarter, and weaker. But how are they different? Well, one is a person and one is an animal. So let's add, the tiger is tricked by a human and the lion is tricked by an animal. Were there any other characters? There's a buffalo in this story, so we should mention that. Now let's discuss the plot. Stories often have many differences in the plot, so we don't need to list everything. Instead, we should summarize. Remember how we practiced summarizing in my last video? We described the most important parts in a clear, short way. Let's start with this question about the plot. What do the tiger and lion want? The tiger wants wisdom, while the lion wants food and power. This is an important difference that leads to all the other events. Next, let's focus on how both characters are tricked. How is this different in each story? In How the Tiger Got Its Stripes, the man ties the tiger up and makes a fire. The tiger escapes, but the fire burns stripes into his fur. What about the other story? Pause the video to describe how the lion is tricked and what happens next. The rabbit tricks the lion into believing there's another lion in the well. The lion jumps in and gets trapped. Great work! Now that we've filled in the Venn diagram, we can see how similar and different these stories are. So, comparing and contrasting is a useful skill because it helps us think carefully about what we've read, find connections across stories, and spot what makes each one special. It's also something we do in real life. Next time you're choosing a game to play or a snack to eat, try finding the similarities and differences to help you choose. See you next time, and remember, where there are words, there's a world to explore. Hey, hey.